Hi everyone, it's Rio Cloudsync. In today's session, we'll look at Microsoft 365 Backup, which is currently in public preview. Business continuity assurance is a top of mind concern for many companies. Microsoft 365 Backup delivers business continuity peace of mind by providing performance and reliable restore confidence. When evaluating a backup and restore offering, what really matters isn't solely the backup, but the ability to be able to restore your data to a healthy state quickly and when you need to do so. Therefore, in today's session, we'll look at the Microsoft 365 Backup service. I've navigated to admin.microsoft.com, which has presented me the Microsoft 365 admin console. Our first step is to assign the relevant role-based access control for the service we're creating the backup protection policy for. If we're to navigate to roles, then role assignments, alternatively we can access entra.microsoft.com and then roles and roles assignment, and we can assign the particular roles for the service we're trying to back up. There are 3 services we can back up through the Microsoft 365 backup service. We can back up OneDrive, we can back up SharePoint, and we can back up Exchange Online. Each service has its own applicable roles for the backup protection policy. For example, OneDrive, you would require Global Admin or SharePoint Admin. The same for SharePoint Online. And for Exchange Online, you would require Global Administrator or Exchange Administrator. And what you need to do is just search in the search bar here. SharePoint, for example, if we wanted to back up OneDrive or SharePoint, and we can select the appropriate role, and then we can add the user. And then they'll be able to create a backup protection policy. My user already has the relevant role-based access control to be able to create the backup protection policy. The second stage is to enable the Syntex billing. Microsoft 365 Backup is built through Syntex. It's not part of the service portfolio, but it's built through Syntex. In return, is built for a pay-as-you-go model via an Azure plan or an Azure subscription. So if we were to navigate to Setup on the left-hand side, we can scroll down on this page until we find Use Content AI with Microsoft Syntex. Automatically create and process content to enhance workflows and processes. Select this option. You can see that I've previously set this up just to test this out prior to filming the video. However, all you need to do is press Manage Billing. This will be grayed out initially and will turn green once you've enabled the billing function. And then you want to select the appropriate subscription. You will want to proactively create a resource group. I've just called mine Syntex Demo. This is where you will be billed to and will show up on your aggregated invoice. And then you want to select the region in which you want your backups to reside. For this one, I've selected UK South. Once more, Microsoft Syntex pay-as-you-go features uses an Azure subscription for billing. For more information on how your data will be handled, see the privacy statement. And you can find out a bit more about the billing and how that works through the Microsoft documentation. So if I was to take you to the Microsoft documentation here, you can scroll down under Microsoft 365 Backup. You've got pricing, and there's a lovely calculator you can use to work out the pricing per gig per month. And there's also a lovely usage report within the reported section in the Microsoft 365 admin console. You use the two in conjunction to work out your monthly costs. I will link this doc in the description. So once you've enabled the billing, this will turn green. We then want to select Manage Microsoft Syntex. We then have options for Archive, Backup, Content Center, you name it. In this session, we're looking at Backup. So if I select Backup, you can see that I've turned it on. In your case, there'll be an enable button here. You press enable, takes a few minutes. During the preview period, performance and speed of any of the web interfaces, initial configuration and restore points might be slower than expected while Microsoft scale up their infrastructure to remove any undesirable latency. So once you've turned it on, you'll have an option then to navigate to the Microsoft 365 Backup Center. Alternatively, you can click Settings on the left-hand side and then select Microsoft 365 Backup. You'll then be presented your backup policies for each one of the services, i.e. SharePoint, Exchange, and OneDrive. We'll navigate through each policy and what that looks like in terms of options presented. Creating a new protection policy, just to note, initiates the process of backing up your SharePoint sites, OneDrive, or Exchange Online mailboxes. Once you submit a request to activate a protection policy, it can take up to 60 minutes to process, and then another 60 minutes to create and publish the restore points. So if we click on SharePoint, set a policy, you will see we've got an overview. By creating this policy, you'll be protecting SharePoint sites added, policy attributes, backup frequency. So what's our recovery time? Recent 14 days. So anything up to 14 days, it will do a subsequent backup every 15 minutes. Post 14 days to a year, it will do a backup weekly. And once more, the backup retention is 1 year, and it also refers you to the costing. Once we've confirmed, it will navigate us to the protection scope, or the assignment scope, and we're able to either choose sites through the UI down the right hand side, just like we were to if we was to create a Microsoft 365 security group and add users, and we can assign those sites to this protection scope. We've got options for site name or URL, which is quite handy. Site last modified, last 7 days, last 30, last 3 months, last 6 months. Sites that have any of the matching keywords and have been modified in a specified time, if selected, will be included. The scope will not update automatically for any new sites matching these rules in the future. So that's good to know. And we can also upload to a CSV, which I believe they give you a lovely download for a CSV template, which you can fill out the relevant criteria or details. You can upload up to 10,000 sites URLs per CSV file. And we can, once we've selected the scope, we can press next, and that will create our backup policy for SharePoint. I've done one for Exchange already, but we can go through the who we backed up. I backed up myself. It is currently active. The policy details are here, and it backs up Exchange Online mailboxes every 10 minutes. A backup period of 1 year. It backs up from an Exchange Online perspective any modifications or any deletions. That's its scope and criteria of what it counts as a backup. And once more, you can see my included user mailboxes, and I also have an option to pause a policy if needs be. Then same principle for OneDrive. In consistence with SharePoint, when I press Setup Policy, restore, the RPO times are the same, retention's the same, and in terms of scope, I can either choose a individual user account, I can select a distribution list, security group, or upload a CSV via template. Full SharePoint sites and OneDrive accounts restore, meaning the site and the OneDrive are restored to their exact state at a specific prior points in time via a rollback operation. From an Exchange Online perspective, the mailbox items restore. However, Microsoft are looking at more granular items to restore in the near future. So if I come out of here, how do I go about the restore process? With any backup, the restore process is very much needed. We can either press restore here or go to our restoration tasks. If I was to press restore in Exchange, because I'm covering mailbox at the moment, it's kind of a generic restore UI. It will still ask me, do I want to restore SharePoint? Do I want to restore Exchange Online or OneDrive? I can press Exchange Online, and I can add the user mailbox. Press next, and then it asks me, okay, at what recovery time do you want to restore? I can select my preferred time zone: Dublin, Edinburgh, Lisbon, London, and then the date, which is today, and then the relevant time, or I can select selected content only, in which I've got a few filters here in terms of email from, has attachments, subject, has a keywords, and email to. I can only see this expanding in the near future, and then the destination. So if I select all mail contacts, if I select 7. See if this restore points. So because I've done this so quickly, I don't have any restore points at the moment, but pretty much when you go to the next stage, destination, you get an option to restore to the mailbox itself, i.e. replace what's already there, or we can restore to a subfolder called recoverable items. And once more, we can recover the emails, notes, contacts, calendars, and tasks. So I'll press cancel. My videos are always uncut, so I may always occur some issues down the line, so please forgive me. But once more, that's the restore points. Same principle for SharePoint. I can either restore to the original site, or I can restore to a new site, then do that failover as and when I need to. And same principle for OneDrive. When we look at the Microsoft documentation, like I said, we've got the pricing section here. Okay, we've also got some preview limitations, which I suggest or I advise you read through before taking up the Microsoft 365 backup. We've got offboard, and how do we offboard? Same way as we onboarded, we just need to remove the billing account from the Syntex pane, disable the tool in the pay-as-you-go billing setup panel where you first enable the tool, or you can call into support to ask Microsoft to offboard you from the tool if you would like offboarding to happen faster than the default with a minimum of 30 days, and if your billing account goes into an unhealthy state. We've got some FAQs here, which I believe are quite important, especially these ones. What mailbox changes are backed up, modifications and deletions. What is a service recovery point objective? Like I said, for Exchange Online, it's every 10 seconds. For OneDrive and SharePoint, for the first 2 weeks is 15 minutes. Other than that, I will link this document in the description. Like I said, this is relatively new. I wanted to get a video out there quickly, but this is Microsoft 365 backup, and I think this is very much a game-changing moment for Microsoft and its services. Once more, if you have any questions, please let me know. Either give me a comment or send me a direct message. I'll be more than happy to advise. Thank you very much.